So the U.S. House just passed the Parental Rights Bill, and I wanted to talk about this. I've made other videos uh, that touch on this and touch on a bunch of different subjects, but this one is one that's really close to my heart. I'm prior military, and we all hear the sentence, for God and country. And then there's the people who want to argue over whether God comes first or country comes first. And the simple fact of the matter is that they're just in tie for second, because family's first. Family is always first. And being a parent touches on every single, well, not every single, but almost every single subject that's going on out there. And it's being attacked on all fronts. Okay? It's being attacked by all the people who want to talk about men's rights and women's rights and the whole dating scene, and women don't get conscripted, and they are in control of this and that and the other, and guys don't want this in girls, and girls want that in guys, and it's misogynistic or it's feminist. It's horrible. And then you get into the transgender thing, and they're pushing all this stuff in the schools, and they're pushing sex in the schools, and they're pushing all this other stuff in the schools. And then, you can get it into race. It goes into being the whole race thing with, oh, if you're black, you're oppressed, and you can't possibly be racist, and all the rest of these things. It touches on every single one of these things, okay? I'll start and I explain my view on family first, and I need oh, the Bill of Rights has two pieces that are very big on this, okay? And it's the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. And I have a different view than a lot of people do on the First and Second Amendment, and that I don't see those as declarations of a right. I don't see that as it giving us a right. When we started the country, we said we want to create a government because we need to have some type of order and protection methods, and that's what the government is there to do. We have to organize and do something to protect ourselves, both from external forces and to keep the peace internally. And we knew from history that there were all kinds of horrible things that are out there. Okay, that there are all kinds of horrible different ways of doing government, and we wanted to do it better, and we did. But one of the things that we wanted to do is to make sure that the government could never become tyrannical. And so we put in those first two, and they are the first two for a very important reason. I don't see them as a declaration saying these are our rights, okay? These are restraining orders, in my opinion. They are constitutional injunctions against the government saying, you don't touch these subjects. You don't mess with this. This is not your job. When legislators start getting in there and writing laws to either restrict your free speech or restrict your right of gun, it's like, you know what? You're not following the restraining order. You're violating a restraining order as far as I'm concerned, and you should be criminally punished for it, okay? Because that's what we told you in the beginning. You're not to touch this, okay? And the first two are exceptionally important. The Bill of Rights is not just about your right to go out and be an asshole. It's not. It includes that, but that's not what the reason for that is. And the Second Amendment is your right to protection, not just in self-defense, not just in tyranny of your government, okay, but to protect yourself from any outside forces that might come to harm you. Okay? There was a thing a while back which touched on it, which was the right to free college and a right to education. And people would sit there and say, nowhere in the Constitution does it say anything about education. Well, it's Congress is able to regulate. No, that just means they can regulate things. Okay? We gave them a bunch of powers, and then we said, these two things, okay, you don't touch these. Okay? The First Amendment isn't about saying, it's about reading. And the reason we have those two rights as restraining orders against the government is because those two things are very key to the responsibility of a parent. Those two rights are the fundamental pieces that engage the parental rights. Okay? We created the government to help us. It doesn't take over our responsibilities. Okay? And this is what's key on this. It's my responsibility to go out and get information to teach my kid. It's my responsibility to protect my kids from danger and criminals. It's my responsibility. It's my job to go out there, read as much as I can, find the information, bring it back, give it to my kids. They have a right to an education from their parents. You do have a right to education from your parents. And your parents have the right to decide what they're going to teach you, how they're going to teach you, and what they're going to do. But they have a responsibility to teach you how to talk, to teach you how to get along, to teach you how to do all those different things. Okay? At 30 years old, if you're going to go live in a basement, it's not going to be the government's, it's going to be mommy and daddy's. They're going to be held responsible. The government is not held responsible if your kid fails the second grade. You are. If my kid ends up getting hurt, it's my responsibility. I'm responsible for them. This needs to be probably the hugest thing that goes out there as a cultural revolution, to sit there and say, we are going to be responsible parents. And I will compete with you to be the most responsible parent, to be the best parent. Okay? I am better because I am more responsible for my kid. Oh, you rely on a school to teach your kid, and I homeschool? I'm better than you. There you go. You could beat people that way. That needs to be the way that people are dealing with this. Okay? It goes into every little aspect. Okay? We created fire departments to help us. They're not responsible if our house burns down. They're not going to replace my house. They're not going to do it. I can't sue them if my house burns down. They're not held responsible. So they don't have a right to tell me how to protect myself against fires, because I'm going to be held responsible. I need their help, their expertise. They give me advice. I love that. That's why I pay you. My tax dollars, my property taxes, go to pay for fire departments. My 10-year-old has known how to use a fire extinguisher for quite a long time. He knows where they are in the house. He knows how to escape. He knows how to do all those things. That's my responsibility to teach him. My kid knows how to shoot. He knows how to protect himself. Okay? My kid knows how to get a book, how to learn. I sit with him. I talk with him. I spend time with him, and I teach him all the things that he needs. Okay? All of the things that we do. He gets owies. He knows that he needs to put a Band-Aid on it. You teach him these things. Medical. You have a right to have your parents deal with it. Okay? When you go to the doctor, they have to ask your permission before they do any treatment. That needs to be the same way it is at a school. The schools are responsible for only teaching that which is not controversial. We hire them with our tax dollars so that they can help us teach the things. It's okay to get it from them. You want to deal with morals, what's right and wrong, you want to deal with any of those things, that's the parent. Okay? It's your responsibility to do these things. We have so many parents in America that are not doing their job. You have the rights, but you're not being responsible. And there's those, a lot of them, who don't want to be responsible. I've lived prior military everywhere. I was stationed in California for a while, and it drove me nuts. These are people who have a dress code, not a dress code, a school uniform for children, that you have to have your kids wear that. And the California law is set up and says, well, if the parents decide that they want to have a school uniform, they can. And they vote and so forth. No, it's not supposed to be like that. Okay? It's not supposed to be, okay, we're going to do this because I don't want to tell Sally that she's not allowed to wear a mini skirt that's half an inch from her coochie. No, I don't want to tell Billy Bob that he's not allowed to wear tank tops to school. I'm too lazy. I'm going to say it's the teacher's fault. It's the parent. It's the school's fault. You have to follow the school's dress code. It's not me. Don't blame me. Shut up. Parent up and be a parent. I don't want to talk to my kid about sex. I want them to learn it at school. Parent up. If you didn't want to do that stuff, then don't have the kid. That's it. That's it. And if you have the kid, guess what? Oh well. Now you're in it for the long haul. You have to do your job. You want to sit there and get on men about child support? Get on both parents about parental support of their children and doing the proper job. It's your job to teach them about sex. It's your job to teach them about anything that they might possibly disagree on. Religion? We don't teach religion in the 4th grade. The whole reason that, although I hate the fact that the Pledge of Allegiance was taken out of school, but the reason it was rightfully so, because a bunch of idiots back in the 50s added the under God part to it. Well, we don't put that in schools, so guess what? We can't have it there. You want it in there? Great. Now it can't be in a school. Can't. Because it's a controversial thing. It's things that people disagree on. We have the freedom of religion. It's right there. You're not supposed to push a religion on us. Well, you are. Guess what? That's why it's out. Every time the government infringes and violates those 1st and 2nd restraining orders, it's going to get kicked out. It's going to get kicked out. But parents need to start being responsible for what's going on. The Second Amendment people are all about telling us, oh, well, the cops only get here at this time, and they might not get here for 5-6 minutes, and it's too late. What are you going to do? No, at the end of the day, the cops are going to come. They're going to do what they do. They got to take people away in body bags. It's just a job for them. That's it. And they don't have to come. They don't have to. If my house catches on fire, starts burning down, and there's 3 other houses on fire, and there's only 3 trucks, 4 fires, 3 trucks, somebody's not getting one. That's the way it is. We hire them to help us. We hire the teachers to help us so that we can go out, make money, participate in the economy, make America and our families better, to take care of our families. They're helping us with the load. And I'm sharing that with all of my neighbors who put in all of their money so that we can do it, and we work together to do this. They talk about the transgendery stuff. No, you have no business teaching sex in school. Okay? The California thing with the dress code, they had this little caveat buried deep in the law that said that, the parents could sign a waiver and their kid wouldn't have to wear the uniform. I do not need permission to use my First Amendment right. I don't care how many other parents want to be lazy. I don't need permission, a waiver from the school in order to use my First Amendment right. That is, as far as I'm concerned, illegal. But no, nobody's fighting that. And I'm not going to deal with that crap. So yeah, I'm not there no more. Here's a story. I was in the military, and I was talking with quite a few people, and a couple of them were black, and we were talking about kids and how we raise our kids. And my philosophy is simple, and I think a lot of parents share this type of philosophy, and it's that I want everything to be better for my kid. I'm making America better for my kid to be able to go out and have a great country. I'm making my house better than when I had it as a kid. I'm making technology better for my kid. I'm making everything better for my kid so that they have a better life. And then they do the next, and it keeps progressing and adds up. Okay? And one of them, the black guy, was like, and I don't want to use his name. He was like, well, I don't let my kid talk back to me. And I don't, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. And oh, hell no, he's not going to be better than me. I'm better than everybody. And I do this and that. And I'm like, wait a minute. So you're going to raise your kid to be, he's not going to make as much money as you. No. Okay. So he's not going to be as successful as you. No. Oh, hell no. I'm more successful. I'm the best. Oh, okay. So he's not going to be as successful. Is he going to be as happy as you? Probably not. Everything was less. And I was like, okay. So I wonder if, because I'm teaching my kid to question authority, not to sit there and just revolt against it, but to ask questions. And whenever possible, because there are times of urgent need when you sit there and go, get me the fire extinguisher. I don't need my kid going, do you need the fire extinguisher, or do you want the hose, or do you, no. There's emergency times where they just got to listen, true. But in a lot of situations, you go, okay, I need you to go take the laundry upstairs. Can I finish my game? It's going to be 2 minutes. Sure. Okay. He doesn't have to drop it right that second. He brought to my attention that he was in the middle of something else, and he said he will do it. Can you give me a couple of minutes? Sure. See, that's called coordination. It's teaching them to be a good adult, and a good adult coordinates. Okay? And he's teaching his kid all the other things, and I was like, I'm teaching my kid to do this, which means he's probably going to end up starting companies or being a CEO or all the rest of that, and you're teaching your kid not to question authority. Do you ever wonder? Because he was going on really heavy about how that's our culture. That's our culture. You know, we flip a flip-flop at their head if they do this and that and the other. We pop them down. And I'm like, do you ever wonder why more black people are in lower levels of skill employment and janitors and things like that? And he goes, oh, that's racist. That's racist. And I'm like, no, it's an honest question. Think about this. Okay? My great-great-grandfather fought in the Civil War to free you, and your great-great-great-great-grandfather, if you came from here or were a slave or whatever, so that you'd be free, and they were equal. And he's had this philosophy. He gave it to his kid and his kid. We've had this philosophy of, I'm going to make sure my kid is 10 times more successful, makes 10 times more money, has 10 times the happier family life, has 10 times everything better than me. And you're telling me, just even if we started today, forget all of your cultural problems that have added up all for the years. You're telling me, are you and me equal? He goes, hell yeah. I said, okay, we're equal. We're equal. You're raising your kid to be less than you. not as rich, not as successful, not as happy. I'm raising my kid to be 10 times better. Who's going to have the better kid? Who's going to have the better life? It goes into every single subject that's out there. I should make a video one of these days on how the Democrats are their philosophy of destroying things. And I'm not saying that Republicans are the end all be all, because pretty much all politicians, not all, can't be an absolutist. A lot of them are corrupt. Both sides. Both sides. They're all in on it. They're all in on the jig. As long as there's lobbyists and people doing that stuff, they're all taking bribes. That's what it is. That's all what it is. It's legalized bribery in a lot of these cases. But the reason why I tend to fall more on the Democrat side is, well, pretty much because libertarians have been kicked out of the Democrat Party. Because I tend to believe I fall somewhere around libertarian, or at least a very super moderate conservative. But it's thrown with what everything's going on right now. Everybody's cast into this alt-right thing just because I believe that it's my responsibility to raise my kid. Oh, that's fascist. It's fascist to take responsibility. To take responsibility for your life and the responsibility of caring for your family, that's fascism. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's the destruction of the family system. It's the destruction of middle class. It is. There's been, they talk about all the studies of, most people ending up in jail came from fatherless homes, and they came from this and that, and they did a bunch of different studies like that on those things. I would like to see studies that, instead of sitting there and saying, it's horrible to have same-sex parents because they're more likely to do this and that and the other, and it's like, you know what? Is it still better to have two parents, even if they're the same sex, in a home, than not, and only have one? Is it better? Can you tell me that's better? So if it's better than that, then why are you fighting so hard to get improved? It's kind of like sitting there and going, we should be fighting to get rid of our coal plants and bring them to natural gas because it's so much better. And it's a cheap, easy, quick type of thing that you can do versus this whole catastrophic changeover to electricity. Pretend for a second that going electric is the best thing in the world. Well, where is the biggest benefit with the smallest price? That's what you're supposed to be doing. But they're not doing that. They're going for the least amount of benefit with the hugest price. It's ridiculous. I don't want to get into that. I want to stick on family. We need to make a cultural wave about, I am responsible for my children. I'm going to be there to go to the teacher and say, how is my kid doing? We need to have parents going, look at my report card. That's not my kid's report card. That's my report card. My kid got all A's because I made sure that they were learning. I made sure they did their homework. I made sure they did better. Video is getting too long in the PC cutout, so I'm going to stop it right here. It's a good sign that I'm talking for too long. Enjoy.